All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us for our first annual Toby Farms Women's Panel. And we decided to do this at the culmination of Women's History Month. So we wanted to take the opportunity to give our students a chance to talk to community members and activists in their community here in Chester and hear from them things that have benefited them as women and opportunities that they've had and things that they've gone through to get where they are. So before we start, we could start here with Miss Miah. Just go down the panel and just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and why you're here with us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karen Miah. I'm actually a graduate of Chester High School, class of 1977. I am retired from State Farm Insurance Company after 42 years. Oh, well, that's big.
Ooh, that's a big deal.
And also, I'm the cheerleading coach at Chester High School for 27 years. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you. I'm hoping that one day soon you'll be a Chester High School cheerleader. So welcome.
Yeah.
Hello, I see some of my friends here. We were working together a few days ago. I'm so glad to see you. My name is Jean Arnold. I live in Chester now, but I grew up in Florida and moved here because I started to work with Scott Paper Company before Kimberly Clark came here. And so I brought here a product, paper towel from your bathroom and a facial tissue because during my time at that company, I worked on those brands that you use every day, and it was a joy to do that in the marketing department. Before that, I worked in New York with Bird's Eye division there of General Foods. So if you've ever gone in the grocery store in the frozen food section and bought some peas or something like that, that might be a product that I worked on years ago right after I came out of college. I did that early on in my career, and then I began to get more involved in education, and so many opportunities led me to be here today with you as a volunteer here in Chester. And I'm so proud because some of you made me very proud in the last couple of days. So, hello, thank you for having me, and that's a little bit about my background.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know some of you because my name is Carlena Parker. I'm the former principal of Main Street Elementary School, and so I see some of my babies out here.
To the counselor's office, please. Jeremy
I am
and
currently working for Chester Upland School District at the district level as something called Supervisor of Academics. So I'm really excited about that new position. It gives me an opportunity to work with just not students at Main Street School, but students in the entire school district, and so I'm very, very excited about that. I'm excited to be here because I love all the students of Chester Upland. I am so excited and proud of them. I know how much you can achieve. Main Street School is my first love, of course, because they are absolutely wonderful at Main Street School, but I'm happy to be here to get to know those of you from Toby Farms as well. So thank you for having me.
Good afternoon, ladies. My name is Tammy Strand-Yarbray, and I'm the coordinator of Truancy for the district. But one of my most favorite roles in the district is working in the after-school programs and the summer programs. So I know many of you from that, and my site was the Boys and Girls Club in STEM during the summer. So I get to see some familiar faces as well. And my background is in social work, so I actually worked at Elwyn, I worked at Devereux, so I worked in the private school sector. And now I'm working in the public school sector, and I'm a home and school visitor for the district as well. So I do enjoy working with students. I've worked with adults in the past, but my passion is working with students. And I am over in the high school, but I will travel here and support you guys, and good to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies. Are you here? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be here with you today. So my background is just a little bit more complicated. So I started out in healthcare. When I was young, like you, I always wanted to be a nurse. A nurse was my favorite. I always wanted to take care of people. And I started out on that track, and then I hit a bump in the road, and I took a little turn from there and became a healthcare administrator. But I got to actually create health programs under my role in healthcare. So I retired from healthcare of 22 years, was recruited to public education along the way. So one would probably say, healthcare, nursing, how did you get to education? Well, when you think about it, I was educating people in healthcare about taking care of themselves. So coming into education was actually a smooth transition. And even though I never taught in the classroom, I came in as an administrator, but got to work on programs that impact your classroom. So, and I retired from doing that in 2016 and just never left. So here I am today, 2022, and I'm still here, still enjoying what I'm doing because of you. And that's why I stayed. Thank you, I'm glad to be here.
Good afternoon, ladies. How are you?
Good.
I am the Honorable Judge Dawn L. Vann. I am the first African-American lady judge here in the city of Chester and in all of Delaware County. I am what Chester makes, because what Chester makes, you all heard this the saying, makes Chester. I am a pure example of that. When I look out and I see you all, I see myself. Born and raised here in the city of Chester, went through the Chester Upland School District, graduated from Chester High School, was a member of the mighty Chester High School Cheerleaders, where Miss Miah, under the direction of Miss Miah, that was a great experience. Here in the city of Chester, I am one to know that you can do anything that you want to do. You can set your goals as high as you would like. I've been a judge in the city of Chester for 14 years. I was elected by the constituents here in the city of Chester, by teachers who taught me, by neighbors who nurtured me. Being a magisterial district judge in the city of Chester has been my biggest accomplishment. It is something that I do with passion. It is something that I have been doing with the love for the city of Chester. So I just want you ladies to really dig down and ask some questions of this esteemed panel, because you have ladies here that are very, very influential and take advantage of what we have here.
Amen.
And ask a lot of questions. So I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to talk with you, and I would not be any place else, because Ms. Yarbray and I was supposed to be someplace else today. But we found it not robbery to be here.
Right.
I'm so glad that I was asked to be here, and look forward to some of your questions.
All right, so girls, as you came in, I gave some of you questions, and the panelists did have an opportunity to review the questions ahead of time. So we'll just kind of start here, and we'll just go down the road. If you have a question, ask it. And ladies, I want this to be more of a conversation, so don't feel like you have to answer every question. Don't feel like you have to wait your turn. I just want this to be a really intimate conversation with our students. Why don't you go ahead and start?
Did you or do you have a mentor? What do you believe are the benefits of mentoring?
Well, for me, I actually had a mentor who did not look like me. And for me, that mentor took an interest in me because she saw some value. She saw things in me that I didn't see in myself, and it's clear as a bell to me. She came to me one day and said, "Are you available to meet at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning?" And I was like, "Well, I don't get here that early." She said, "Well, I want you to come in. I want to meet with you. I just want us to have a discussion." I said, "Okay, I'll be there." When I met with her, she pointed out about 5 critical things that I needed to do better. Not that I was doing them wrong, but that I needed to do better. One of those things was to talk slower. I used to be a really, really fast talker. And not that I was in a hurry, I just talked fast. No one ever told me to slow down. So she said to me, that's one of the things that I need to do in order to be successful. Because one, people couldn't understand what I was saying because I was talking so fast, and it always sounded like I was in a hurry, and that I wasn't interested in hearing what someone else had to say. So again, this was someone who took interest in me, and from that day forth, I've always paid it forward and felt a need to always give back to other people the same way.
Ladies and panelists, when you present your questions, please speak in your louder voice, and the same with the panelists. Thank you so much.
Have you ever faced any challenges being the woman in your field?
I like to answer that. One thing about being the first, that's a heavy load because you somewhat set a particular precedent. So I faced many challenges because of the position in being a judge and being a lady judge, because we have many lady judges and we have many African American lady judges. However, being the first African American lady judge in the city of Chester and all of Delaware County, all eyes are on you. And the decisions that you make, they can be criticized, ridiculed, all of that. So some of the challenges that I faced in being the first was she made that decision when it was probably never made before by a lady judge. So some of the challenges can be people not really understanding the perspective that you bring to the bench in my field, in my area of expertise. So they may think that the decision that I made because I'm a lady may not have been the right decision. So being the first, sometimes you set a particular precedent, and that precedent may not be in agreement with those who have, those who've heard it, and they may not agree with what your decision was only because I was the first lady and I made that decision. And it's not that it was a decision made for the first time, but just because I was a lady. So challenging being the first, and especially the first lady, that has been one of my challenges.
I'd also like to add, you can clap for me. I'd also like to add that sometimes you experience bias, just being a female, and people discounting who you are and how smart you are.
Yes.
And as a principal of Main Street Elementary School, as well as a high school before I came to Main Street, oftentimes when you're interacting with people in the community, it is difficult for them to take direction sometimes from someone who is a female and someone who they may have preconceived ideas about not being very smart.
Yes.
And so because you are, as a principal, in charge of the entire building, that sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
Every person in the building. You are, if something happens in the building, if something goes wrong, they have questions for you, like how is that going to get fixed? So you have to be in command of what's going on in the building, right? So not only in command of that, but knowledgeable about how to even fix that, right? Or how to be a part of fixing it. So you have to be pretty smart, I would say, right? At least smart enough to find out those who are smart to get the answers that you need. But I think that is one of the biggest challenges, not being thought of in a way that could really handle difficulties or challenges in the school.
I would like to add to that. I think you're all absolutely correct about that, and that was also one of my experiences. I was considered smart when I was a kid in school, and everybody accepted that. There were lots of us who were smart, and that was a very popular and courageous and highly esteemed thing to do. Since I have been working in the last X number of years in schools, I have found that has changed in our communities. And children are not celebrated as much as they used to be for being smart. And I've seen children in schools, in my classes, here in this town, dumbed down so that they can fit in. And that gets me very, very, very upset. I entered the workplace back during the change of the civil rights movement and whatever, and so some of us were the first to enter into white corporations where white men had held all of those positions and black people had never had those tasks. And so when I came into that workforce, I remember white people looking at me very strangely when I talked, and I later found out that they were surprised that I was as smart as I was. And that was the first time I ran into intellectual racism, and we didn't have a name for it then. And I have been dealing with that all of my life. And what am I saying? I'm saying that I encounter people who are taken back in a negative way about how smart I am, and I will not back down from that. So, to help you with that, I want you to pass this around. This is an assignment. And we'll talk about this later. I want you all as an assignment to think about how smart you are, because you all are. And I want you to look at that piece of homework. We have now discovered that there are 9 particular ways in which you are smart, and we can talk about that later. But what I want you to stop doing is backing down off of how smart you are. I want to give you an assignment while you're in school. You have a full-time job. Here's about 7 hours a day, and I want one of the things for you to excel in is figuring out, discovering how smart you are. And we can talk about that later.
You had a question?
So has anyone ever like put you like down or like try to like devote you because they didn't think you were like so smart, or like back then like they thought that because you were black and a woman that you were like even like below the average African American?
I had a discussion in Scott paper once with a person who said that he did not think that black people could do marketing research well. He didn't think that black people were smart enough to do that. And so I set about saying to him, well, if that's true, let's do a survey here in the corporation to find out who else thinks that. Because if you don't really believe that black people can do the work, my question to you is, why are you having human resources go to black schools and other schools to hire people to come in to do marketing research if you in your heart, head of the department, really don't believe that black people are that smart? And I said, if that's the case, because we're into research, there must be some research around somewhere about black folks' brains to demonstrate whether or not we're that smart. So let us, as a research department, see if we can find out any information about that. Now, you know I knew the answer, and so did they. But I'm saying to you, yes, I've had somebody actually say to me, I don't think that black people are smart enough to do that kind of work.
I wanted to add something about having challenges and coming from the city of Chester. I belong to one of the largest families in the city of Chester. So when you're doing a job like I do with Truancy, and you have to be in the court system, and you have people that you know and people that you have casually, sometimes it's hard. And when you have to have meetings with parents and someone might come in and you might say, this is such and such's daughter, but you have to hold people accountable, and you have to also have compassion, because that information that you have might be able to help someone. So I feel like you shouldn't stray away from who you know and who you are. So there's never a time where I'm not going to identify someone and say hello to them and let them know that I'm acknowledging that I know who they are and that they know who I am, because I think that that's something that's very important. I don't think it's a way that when you work here, you can't say, well, I act like I don't know people, like I know Nellie. I'm not going to speak to you. She's serious. But I mean, you always should make sure that you respect people and meet them where they are. And I think that that's a challenge that I had in the beginning, because I didn't want people to think because I was in the position, I still wouldn't try to help them, even if I had to hold them accountable. So I believe that that's very important. And I think about you as students, sometimes your friend might be doing something wrong, and you know that you're not supposed to do it, but you don't want to tell on them, or you don't want to go the opposite direction because, that's your friend. But sometimes you have to stand alone and say, you know what, I don't think you should do that, but you can do what you want, but I'm not going to do it. And walk away, because that could be a difference in you and even your friend. Your friend might say, if I don't have a partner to get in trouble, then I might not get in trouble as well. So make sure that you stand on who you are, and make sure you believe in your principles, and make sure you don't let people encourage you. Okay.
Who inspires you and why?
Say that a little louder.
Who inspires you and why?
I can answer that question. So I've been inspired by a lot of people. So the first one I would actually say are my parents, because my parents set this tone for me, and they built a great foundation for me. I went through Chester Upland School District, and my mother always was very encouraging. Like when I would come downstairs in the morning, she would always say good motivational things to me. So, and also my cheerleading coach, believe it or not, was Shirley Pope. Miss Pope was an educator in the Chester Upland School District, and she was phenomenal. And she ran a very strict with the cheerleaders. And it's actually funny because when I became the cheerleading coach, I used to go to her and ask her for guidance as far as making sure I was doing the right thing. Because when I love these girls, Judge Dawn would tell you I love them hard, but I also want the best for them. So she was actually another person, along with, I come from a large family also. My grandparents had 15 children. So there were 10 girls and 5 boys. And so I come from a family of educators, and some of them also worked in the Chester Upland School District. And so they were all very encouraging to me. And believe it or not, the people who motivate me more than anybody are my daughters. I have 3 daughters. One is Kiana, one is Kristen, and one is Courtney, and they all came through Chester Upland School District. And my daughters have gotten to the point now where we kind of bounce off each other when we talk about the schools and we talk about young people. Because we want the best for all of you. And so as far as mentoring is concerned, you're gonna always look to certain people who kind of may look like you and mold you and shape you and encouraging you. Those are the kind of people that you wanna be around. But if it's somebody who's bringing you down and not talking up to you, then those are the people you don't want in your corner. So those are my, besides the 2, I'm sorry, I do have 2 bonus mothers, Ada Richardson and Geraldine Chambers, and Geraldine is getting ready to turn 92 years old on Sunday. So they are also people who motivate me.
I think my father was probably my strongest motivator. He used to always challenge me about thinking. And I would do something dumb and he would say, Jean, what were you thinking about? And I think that probably resonated very deeply in me, and I'm always thinking about what am I thinking about, and when I talk to you, I'm wondering, what are you thinking about? Even though I might not say that. In other words, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And when I ask questions, and sometimes my questions can be very difficult for people to hear because they make them feel uncomfortable, but my goal in asking the question is to understand what you're saying and to understand it from my point of view, and sometimes to get you to understand that you don't understand what you're saying, and I can guide you so that you can be a better communicator for all of us. I do that when I'm talking to people, and especially when I'm helping children in projects and doing writing activities, what have you. I go fishing for that understanding so that you would be a beautiful, eloquent user of your words on paper and when you speak them. So Daddy is always here in the back of my mind speaking to me, Jean, what were you thinking about? Y'all like that. And by the way, when I was in college, I visited some of my friends, and their daddy was saying to them at 20 years old, what were you thinking about? And I said, gee whiz, my daddy said that to me when I was 5. And their daddy saying that to them when they were 21. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
What do you do and what is your background?
Oh, wait, sorry. What's good?
Have you ever been afraid or discouraged on the job?
Have you ever been?
Have you ever been afraid or discouraged on your job?
On your job? You don't want me to answer that question. Well, I can just say, I'm going to try to say this in a nice way. Again, I worked for an insurance company for 42 years. And actually it was a great pleasure to work with a great group of people. But I did experience some times when I was very discouraged. But I worked for a supervisor, not before I left, but a previous supervisor who was very encouraging and kind of just motivated me and encouraged me in spite of what it looked like, that I can do all things. And so that's the way I kind of approach my job. And I actually approach life like that on a daily basis. So remember, you're going to incur struggles in life. That's going to happen. But you got to make sure that in spite of the struggles that you incur, that you know that you can climb and you can soar in spite of what somebody tries to say about you. So I have
That incident that I told you about a minute ago when this person told me that black people couldn't do a certain kind of work because they were black, that was not discouraging to me because I knew differently. but it bothered me because I was beginning to learn about the white world, and I had come from a black community during segregation, and I had not interacted significantly with white people at all. And so my first time to interact with white people was in the workplace. The only thing I knew about white people was the soap operas on TV. And I really said to folks, it was interesting how when I met white people, they were very much like the soap opera characters that was on TV. So it was a huge transition for me to learn about another culture and way of life. And I want to say this to you. Please listen to me carefully. When you leave Chester, there is another system of operation, of going about doing business, going about being in school that is very different from what we are experiencing here. And so one of our goals that we have is to take you to other places, to let you experience that while you are here, so that you can see how other people are living and working and studying and learning in other places in the world. And that's very, very important. Wherever you go, please get into the habit of surveying the situation and trying to figure out and understand, how does this system work? And then how am I going to do my best working in this system? Every place has a system. I don't care where you are. When you go there, they have a way of behaving, a way of doing. And it is very wise if you learn how to function in that so that you can be the best that you are.
I'd like to add that, so I can't say that I've been afraid while I was the principal of Main Street School. I can say that I have had negative experiences that motivated me so that I could be much more of an advocate for students than maybe I had thought I should be in the moment. Sometimes when you're working in education and you're working with students who are Black and brown children, there are people who come to you with ideas or programs that on the surface seem as if they're great, but underneath, if you're really advocating for your students and you want the best for them and you want them to be able to see themselves as intelligent and smart and being able to handle anything, then you have to really be intentional about what those programs are for your students. And sometimes that's difficult, it's discouraging, because not every program that is brought to your school is wrapped in the best interest for your students. And so you have to sometimes take a little bit of a stand, muscle up some courage, and really say no to some people. And you don't want to, because you want your children to experience everything that is being offered. But to be intentional, to really make sure that you're advocating for the best interests of your students, you have to have them in mind. You have to make sure that the program is not about what the television is going to say about the program, what the news is going to say about it, but is it really benefiting the children that you are in charge of? And so I would say that those have been discouraging moments, because I have to say, you know, hey guys, I'm gonna need you not to come back, or, you know, hey guys, this program really didn't benefit our students. And then people get angry. And so you have to be able to take a stand for what you believe in, and know that advocacy is for the actual group and not for what other people feel and will benefit them.
I cannot let this end without supporting Dr. Parker on this, because I'm an advocate also for education and for Chester. And while Dr. Parker's job is to formally work for the school district, that is not my job. So I can say what I want to say, and I don't have any repercussions the way I would have if I were an employee. And one of the things that really continues to concern me is the amount of learning that is happening in our school district. We exist here because of you. If you didn't exist, we would not be sitting here. So there's some 200 people maybe, a good number of people whose day-to-day job, whether we are cutting the grass, whether we're feeding you at lunchtime, or whether we're standing before you in the classroom, the reason we exist here is for you to be as smart as you can possibly be.
Absolutely.
And so when I see a gap in that, because I think I kind of know to a degree how smart you are, and I don't see that being manifested when I talk to you, then I get very upset. And then I go fishing trying to figure out what needs to change so that can happen. And I am very concerned over the years, and I've been through this situation. Everybody on this panel knows me for some years, having been involved in the school district. I have a reputation for that. And I'm always pushing for the best instruction environment that we can provide so that you can be the best person that God has made you to be. And I'm very, very concerned about that. And I still don't see what I'm looking for. So if you go to any of the receivers meetings, probably the first person who's going to speak is Arnold. I've been doing that for, what, 15, 20 years, I don't know how long. And I will go drink wine under the palm tree. Should I say that? I'll drink Kool-Aid under the palm tree. In other words, I will go away and relax when I see what I think you need being accomplished.
Just let me say that I think the question was, have I been afraid or discouraged? Absolutely. But more importantly, when those time comes, I think about what has just happened. And that is Judge Jackson has just been confirmed as the first African American lady judge on the Supreme Court. So it's things like that. On a daily basis, we can be encouraged or we can be discouraged or afraid, but we have to think about those things. We have to really just think with an open mind on a lot of things. So at those times when I have got discouraged, I think about different possibilities. I think about, again, the big picture. So when there are times that you are discouraged or afraid, just think about the different possibilities. Just think about those things that that are good and that encourages you, and whatever the possibilities are that you can, the possibilities of things that you can accomplish. Just know that things will get better. So I try to be very optimistic, and I do that even in my daily, on a daily basis in sitting as a judge, being optimistic, because I hear some things that are discouraging. I hear some things, and I preside over cases that make me very afraid. I have to make decisions on different types of cases. That can be discouraging. But I often think about that big picture and think about things such as what just happened, and that's with us having the first African American lady Supreme Justice. So I'm only going to say to stay encouraged.
So girls, we probably have time for one more question, but before we get to one more formal question, do any of you have questions for anyone on our panel? Anything you thought of?
I said I have to remember.
Okay, you go ahead.
How did y'all figure out what careers y'all wanted to go to?
How do we find out what careers? Well, if you want, I can be very honest. I would have never, I worked in claims at State Farm Insurance Company, and again, I had never thought that I wanted to work in claims. If you really want to know the truth, if I could do life over, if I could rewind, I wanted to be a teacher. Oh. It is crazy because I went to Widener, and I was actually working at State Farm at the time, and I kind of got, I had children. It's hard for me to change my career. So I just kept going forward, and I actually worked in a claims department. But again, I still don't know what I want to do. I still don't know who I want to be. I'm in my 60s now, but my biggest thing is I just want to continue to motivate and encourage young people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's just.
I have a question.
Okay.
So like as a woman, has there been like other women who disapprove what you were doing because you were going like off the laws of like what they think of?
That's a great question.
There's always going to be people who you're going to always encounter people who may not like what your job or what you're doing or decisions that you have to make. But as long as you make the right decision,
that's it.
And and you have integrity about what you do, that's more important than anything.
I think one of the big things between your time and my time is that when I was coming along, everybody in my community wanted all of us children to be the best that we could be. In the black neighborhoods, and my friends, nobody was saying, oh, you're too smart, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't try that. They would get together and talk about you, try to put you down. That did not happen when I was a child coming along. And that is not the case now. I hear about some of the comments that people do on social media, how young people can become so discouraged. Social media didn't exist when I was a child. So you now in your life are facing thousands, millions of people that you will never ever see. They don't know anything about you, and they can do this or do that, and that can make you feel a certain way inside. That never happened to me. So I am still asking questions from the professionals and other friends. How can we strengthen you, meaning young people your age, so that you will not become subject to other folks' opinions so very much that you become discouraged and maybe harm yourself, which is what we've heard some young people have done. That bothers me an awful lot. But I did not encounter that kind of discouragement. What I encountered were people saying, go for it, be all that you can be. So I think that it behooves all of us who have done this work to come alongside of you and listen with our second set of ears to what you are experiencing, so you can help us figure out how to help you overcome that. I'm very much aware that that discouragement is happening in your life, and it is not a good thing. And we should be about helping you overcome that. But you're going to have to give us some guidance. Follow me? Talk with us freely so that we can listen and join arms with you to help you overcome that.
All right, so before we say thank you, we can start with Judge Vann. Can you just give us one or two words in conclusions and then you want to leave our ladies with?
Always follow your dreams. Follow your heart. Whatever it is you want to do, start by doing it and getting under a mentorship or someone or an organization that will lead you to that particular goal. And don't get discouraged, because you can. And you will.
That's right. That's right. I guess for me, when I look out here at you, I have a granddaughter your age. And oftentimes I look to her to figure out what am I missing, right, when I'm working with groups like yours. So I often say to her, let me see you. Let me see your face. I don't want to see the top of your head looking down at your phone. I don't want to see the top of your head playing. I need to see you for who you are. We need to have a conversation. Because I know that your age group, it's social media, it's the text. So we've lost the art of talking to each other. We've lost the art of looking at each other. Your eyes tell a lot. And I guess I would say to you, start looking at yourself. Start having conversations with people, not on text, because I will tell you, it changes oftentimes the tone of the conversation, and you tend to start to see people for who they are, as opposed to what they may sound like on a phone. So I would leave you with, these ladies up here had conversations with people. These ladies up here looked people in their eyes, and then there was someone who saw something in them back. We don't know what you have unless you look at us. You don't know what we have unless you look at us. So let's start having open, honest conversations with each other. And remember to tell yourself every day that you're beautiful and that you're smart. And you can do it all.
I think I would add to what Ms. Averette said, and I also have a daughter, and she's 20 years old in college, and we were just talking about her. She got an award this week at her school, and when she first started school, I noticed that she was having some concerns with her reading, and I'm secondary education, so I kept on saying something's different from her and her brother. And I kept going to the school and talking to them. And to make a long story short, they found that she had some concerns with her, like her phonics and early reading. So they were giving her like C's in school, and she was very upset. So I ended up getting her in a program with a reading specialist, and she actually worked with the reading specialist. And I remember telling her every day, you're the smartest person in your school. And she was like, no, I'm not, because such and such is smarter than me. But finally, after me telling her that every day, it started to resonate with my daughter. And then I started doing that to the students in Chester High School when I see them. I say, you're the smartest person in school. And you can imagine what you can do to empower someone when you tell them that, because they're like, she don't even know me, what is she talking about? But I say that because you have to believe that. You have to know that you are the smartest person in the school. You can do whatever it is that you need to do, but the key is education. And I say that because my goal here in the district is to improve attendance. If you don't show up, you can't get the work. If you don't show up, you can't get, the teachers can't teach you. So the first step is showing up. Showing up every single day you can show up. We already came out of a pandemic and we've missed a lot of instruction time. So the goal is to show up and get what we have here for you, and then tell us what you need. Like if it is a trip somewhere, like Miss Arnold said, or if it is a different program after school, what is it that you need that you feel is gonna help you with your educational progress? So I'll leave you with, you are the smartest people in this school, okay?
Sure. Amen.
And just to add to that, I would say that you have to trust yourself and trust that you are enough. And what I mean by that is you are smart, you are talented, you are strong. Whatever it is you want to be, you can be that. But you have to actually believe that yourself before it will actually happen. So you got to take some time. You got to look yourself in the mirror. You got to say, I am smart. Or whatever it is you want to do. I want to be a jogger. Whatever it is, you are enough. You can accomplish whatever it is you want to. And just listen. Listen to others. Listen to those that you value and that you respect, and they will help you. You are enough.
What I would say is that you were born with a purpose. I don't care how you got here, who your mother is, who your father is, or how those circumstances came about. You were born with a purpose. And when you spend your time now looking at how you're smart, looking at what you like, looking at what you don't like, all of that together will help you define why you were put on this earth. So I want you to come out of this space today thinking about why was I born, and use all of the resources you have here at this school and other places to help you understand that.
Last but certainly not least, and I apologize because I have to get up.
I know you.
So, again, I'm the cheerleading coach at Chester High School. And one thing that I do believe, there is a very good friend of mine who just came out with a song. And her name is Mary J. Blige. And does anybody know Mary J? And what's the new song? What is it? What does she say? Do you know the new song?
I wrote a song, but I know what it is.
So what is it in the morning? What you supposed to say? Good morning what?
Gorgeous.
Good morning, gorgeous. So that's what you're supposed to say when you wake up in the morning. So what are you supposed to say?
Good morning.
Good morning, gorgeous.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
That's that cheerleader.
What you supposed to do? Say what?
Good morning, gorgeous.
I can't hear you.
Good morning, gorgeous.
What you supposed to say?
Good morning, gorgeous.
I don't have to be louder than that.
Yeah, y'all a little low.
Because when you speak
You
it,
ladies are gorgeous. We didn't hear that
when you
over there.
speak it, and when you say it, you will believe it. Okay? So you gotta start speaking. And speak it over your life. And in spite of what anybody else says to you, when you wake up in the morning before you come in these doors here, when you walk in and you see your principals and your teachers and you walk past them and you say, good morning, gorgeous. Right? That means you coming in here to handle your business. Okay? And one thing that I have to tell you is, if you believe it, you will achieve it. Say that. If you believe it, you will achieve it. You gotta say it with me.
If you believe it, you will achieve it.
And I believe in every one of you. I am a retired lady. Okay? If you ever want me to come up here, hang out with y'all, call me. Okay, she has my number. All right? All right. I love you all. Thank you.
All right, so girls,
Should have played this song.
we're going to give the biggest round of applause we have to really thank all of our panelists for being with us today and sharing with us. And if you have any other questions for them, I'm sure I can communicate those. I'm sure they'll email that and they'll answer anything you have. So say thank you, thank you, thank you. And ladies, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. you?
You have trash, the trash can, otherwise.
Oh, they're different grades.
I heard, before you go, I heard that some of your artists, I want you to come and see some of my